This is going to be my first political video in 11 years. You see this video on the screen right here? That's me on the YouTube channel that I've been locked out of a long time ago. You see that? 11 years ago. I made this video 11 years ago.
And I actually thought I was going to vote this year. This would have been the first time in my life I ever voted. I got my voting rights back about 6, 7 years ago when I was released from prison.
Okay, the audio on that is really
And
bad. Anyway, in this video, why this black man cannot vote for Obama. And in that video, I encourage people to, I kind of started the black conservative movement in a lot of spaces on the internet, on a lot of websites. I was the first black dude openly touting conservative politics as opposed to what blacks generally go for. Our black media, they really do. It's like it feels like the Democrats got them in their pockets. But here it is, 2024, 11 years later. When did I make this video? When exactly did I make this video? Who knows when I made it, but let's see when I uploaded it. Let me see. I can't see the exact date. I'm new to using this software, and I'm not sure if I need to update it or if I need to use a completely different device. But this was quite a while ago, and this was prior to Obama's second election. He was running against Mitt Romney, and I was so upset because both parties, it was ridiculous. First of all, the Republican nomination went so crazy that year. How on earth did they get to the point where they chose Mitt Romney? I couldn't understand that. And this Republican Party has been slipping more and more and more, getting more and more outrageous, getting more and more extreme. And now it's devolved into something else. It's very un-American, in my opinion. They used to be the patriotic party, and they still try to claim that. But after January 6th, when Trump supporters went into the Capitol building and had a riot, you can't call it anything else. Some people call it an insurrection, which I think a lot of them had that on their mind. I think a lot of them really thought that they was on some Boston Tea Party shit or some Fort Sumter shit. Um, Trump, unbelievable that Trump took over the Republican Party like he said he would, and the Republicans are just laying down for it. I am conservative, been nothing but conservative. And like I say, this video's 11 years ago, and there are other videos on YouTube. The current YouTube channel that I have that I'm not locked out of, let's open that up real quick. Uh, how do I change this website? Okay, there we go. So my current YouTube channel, if you go to that,
you'll see that REC. So
if you go to my lives, you'll find videos. This is crazy. How I can't interact with the page like I want to. Page down won't work. Let's see. Can we go to popular lives? We still can't. We're not gonna be able to see it. This is showing that my oldest. But in lives, let me see. If you see me talking about Trump, I'm talking about him positively. So there you go. There's a video from me 3 years ago on this channel.
Okay, it is 8:30.
Like I say, this is a live that I did 3 years ago. Black American truckers really appreciate Trump. That's me in the back of 18 wheeler right there.
Phone is losing 92 electoral votes.
I'm watching the election, and I was really hoping that Trump beat Biden. But here we are. It's July 5th, 2000 and 2024. And I'm making this video to implore anybody who calls himself a black conservative or a black Republican to vote for Joe Biden. I know it's hard. I know it's hard if you have conservative values and you care about things, you care about the children, all these social movements, about the left wing going too far, about the LGBT and all the other letters that they've added to that and trying to add to that, how far they're going, extreme they're going. Um, but you can't vote for Trump. His supporters took Confederate flags into the Capitol building, and Trump never admonished them. I've never heard Trump say, stop bringing Confederate flags to the rally. I've never heard Trump tell his constituents to chill with the Confederate flags. And as a truck driver, as somebody who drove around this country coast to coast around the elections, almost every outcrop you would see with a bunch of Trump flags, there'd be at least a couple Confederate flags. Why doesn't that make more conservatives uncomfortable? Why doesn't that make Republicans uncomfortable? It's supposed to be the party of Lincoln. It's supposed to be the party of Grant. That's the main reason that black people are Republicans or lean towards, if you like Republicans, that should be the main reason. Capitalism is important, but capitalism ain't going nowhere. And a vote for Trump is not a vote against capitalism. A vote for Trump, a vote for Biden this year is different. A vote for Biden is not a vote for conservative values. A vote for Biden is not a vote against the Bible. A vote for Biden is what we got to do. Is what we got to do. If I vote this year, if I get a chance to vote, if I get the opportunity to vote this year, I'm voting for Biden. First time, I'm 46 years old. I've never voted for a Democratic nominee, presidential nominee, ever. Not never. Never wanted to. I'm conservative because I love the Bible. And Trump is now selling Bibles. What is up with that? You know, Trump is, he goes further and further. He's selling his version of the Bible and he's added books to it. He's added like the Declaration of Independence and other things to it, but they're edited. They're not even the original forms. It's like he's really trying something, man. Not even trying something. He's up to no good, man. Trump went too far and he betrayed the country. And as far and now he has a conviction. So now look how he's talking. Candidate Trump was talking about cops need to be more heavy-handed, bust people's heads up against the car as you sticking them in the car. And this is people who haven't even gone to trial. This is people who are just getting arrested. Here is Trump is convicted and arrested, and now he wants to call the justice system corrupt. He'll say anything, man. He'll say anything. And the people that support him, like, you got to stop this, man. You don't vote for who you find the most funny or entertaining. And it ain't about capital. He's not a fiscal conservative, not at all. He spent money just as bad as anybody else, and there's no excuse. We weren't even at war. Yeah, we still had some wars going on and everything, but that's not his spending. He was blowing money fast, wasting money. That's not a fiscal conservative. And a lot of things that he says that were great for the economy, they're not. They're the reason that inflation, Trump is a lot to blame for the inflation that's going on right now, starting the trade war and everything. That's serious talk, man. You need to do the mathematics. But again, like I say, the main reason that you conservative, especially you Christian conservative, Jewish conservative, people who believe in Judeo-Christian values, how is Trump your guy? His entire life, he's been a degenerate, deplorable, arrogant. Everything that the gospel teaches us that a person shouldn't be, he revels in it like a swine wallowing in mud. He's supposed to drain the swamp, and the swamp is getting drained, and he's on the draining end. He's one of the he is crazy. He's probably and possibly the most corrupt politician we've ever had. He was already sketchy at best. We can't have Trump. And he has no limits. And the more he gets away with it, I'm a convicted felon myself. But my felony is from when I was 18. I learned my lesson. I turned away from that. And I don't rob anymore. I don't commit robberies anymore. Learn from my mistakes. Trump, on the other hand, he's been convicted. He won't even admit that he was wrong. Of all the things that we know he done, he admits no wrongdoing. Who in the history of our politics have done as many horrible things, as many infractions as him? You think about that dude on the Democrat side. He screamed and he was leading. I think his name was Howard Dean. Hey Siri, who's Howard Dean? That's him. He was running from the Democratic nominee, and he yelled out this crazy scream at one time, and that was it for him. Now we got two politicians. Yes, Joe Biden is old and senile, but I think his cabinet and even the vice president, again, I'm as conservative as anybody out there. I understand how scary Kamala is, Kamala, whatever, Mamala. I get how scary she is. But as far as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris go, we got to vote for them. For Democrats, I almost said something crazy, but for those on the left, they're pretty centrist. They really are. Joe Biden has been a politician for 60, 65 years. I think even if he doesn't care about America, he has to have some duty and responsibility and some obligation to the country. He's been a politician his entire life. The longest, I don't think anybody's served in American politics longer. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Who was the longest serving professional politician in U.S. history? I had to do some research on that. It looked like they got it all separated. Here we go. That article looked like it's answering my question. A lot of it broke it down. Longest senator, longest serving person in the Senate, longest this, longest that. But Biden was in the Senate, and he was also in the Robert Byrd, damn racist. He was a Democrat, Southern Democrat, and he's one of the reasons that so many black people have a hard time. The black people that have a hard time voting for Democrats, he's one of the main reasons. And his relationship with Hillary Clinton, yeah, look, according to this list, it looked like they're saying Robert Byrd was the longest run serving senator. 59 years, that's a long time. John Dingell, a Democrat, for 59 years. Hey Siri, how long has Joe Biden been a professional politician? Hey Siri, how long has Joe Biden been a politician? So from 1973, so 51 years. It's not that long, especially compared to some of those people I saw in that article. It's long. 51 years. So, and I do trust Joe Biden over, I trust him as far as being an American. I don't trust Trump with anything. I believe he's his own God, and then his second God is money, and then other things, his legacy, his reputation. I can't believe He didn't free Larry Hoover. I saw somebody making a video trying to get blacks to vote for Trump, and they mentioned that he's gonna free Larry Hoover. He didn't free him the first administration. Why would you trust him to free him the second administration? Somebody like Larry Hoover, who's been locked up as long as he had, in a crazy case like his, where he was about to get out of prison, and then the feds pick up his case and hit him with some RICO stuff, and the man been in prison for decades already. That's very unprecedented. And so Trump, he might even start bringing that up, saying that he'll free Larry Hoover. Again, he didn't free him the first time. Joe Biden didn't free him either. So none of them get credit for that. But I don't trust Trump to do that. Kanye West went into the White House, talked to him, explained the situation to him as best as Kanye could, and then he could have looked into it further. He could have asked him to bring Larry Hoover's files, looked over them, and he could have gave him a pardon. The old man, leaving it up to Trump, he would have left him in there to die. I don't think any party deserves any credit for Larry Hoover. He got screwed over. He's a political prisoner, and now Trump is trying to say he's a political prisoner, and he's never spent 24 hours in jail, let alone call himself a political prisoner. Compares himself to Al Capone. People talk about how senile Joe Biden is. Donald Trump is clearly, if he believes the stuff he says, he's insane. He's out of his mind. And people that say they love Trump, they love him because of his honesty. So that means he's going to be honest about executing drug dealers. How many times has Donald Trump said he wants to execute drug dealers? And now the system is corrupt. Think about that. If he would have had the chance to make it legal to execute drug dealers, well, the justice system is corrupt. You know, this has been a problem in the justice system a long time. Those who are guilty are not as likely to be convicted as those who are broke. You could be broke, not have a good lawyer, not have good representation, bad situations, bad circumstances. Maybe you live in a community where you're not accepted. They see you as hostile. So many people don't get a fair trial. Trump got beyond a fair trial, and now he wants to criminalize, make drugs a capital punishment. I don't care how you feel about drugs. If you hate drugs, do the mathematics. Most people that are locked up, the highest number of people that get locked up are for drugs, drug infractions. And we have something called false convictions. It happens all the time. We know for a fact that drugs have been planted on people. There are some notorious cases where officers, all of their cases, hundreds of cases are thrown out and dismissed because this person has been caught on camera planting drugs on people. So now you're going to have, what does that even mean? Drug dealing, that's a crazy crime, man. You could pretty much accuse anybody of that and convict somebody of that, especially nowadays when everybody is so casual and flippant about drugs. Old women giving out their prescriptions or even selling it, making money on the side. He says crazy stuff like that. He says crazy stuff like dictator for a day. Says crazy stuff like we might need to suspend the Constitution. You love him because he's so truthful and honest. What about those honest things he says? What about when he says it's okay for people to just grab women if they're famous enough? Again, you talk about Christian values. How Christian is that? Somebody can get away with crimes, no matter how heinous, because of you know their popularity, their status, how man views them, how other earthlings view them. If you're supposed to be a follower of Christ, the Yeshua, Yahweh, and whatever you want to call him, the Son of Man, he don't teach that. Somebody's rich and famous, so let them abuse people, treat them better than anybody else, treat them with more dignity and respect. Trump is the wrong person for America, man. We survived 4 years of him before. Not even talking about the Simpsons prediction, but the Simpsons did predict Donald Trump would ruin the country. And he did. He did. Like I said, I'm a lifelong conservative. And as you see, I showed at the beginning of this video, a video where I'm giving my honest opinion on Barack Obama, and I'm being honest. And this is when Barack Obama was at his popularity. 11 years ago, that's when people really would have tried to pick a fist fight with me for saying no to Obama. vote for somebody else. In that situation, I was saying vote for Mitt Romney. Write Mitt Romney in. It's a good, I had it was a really good plan. I wish more people would have followed it. That type of plan, especially like the Ron Paul lovers in Texas. Ron Paul, man, if he could have just stole Texas, that would have been a wake up call to the Republican Party to really be the party of conservative values. But now it's becoming to some kind of ridiculous popularity contest. That's what the politics have become. You can't even run for office unless you raise millions and millions and millions of dollars. I used to say that America is not Babylon, it's the promised land. But we're going to turn into Babylon if it really becomes all about money, who gets elected, who's popular, and all this type of stuff. We really need a third party. We need a third party that could somehow garner attention without money. Money has ruined America and these political parties. But most of all, like I say, this is an anti-MAGA video. And please, please, please like, share, subscribe to this video. If you're also a black conservative that would never be down with this MAGA stuff, especially now, like I say, after January 6th, please like, share, subscribe, put something in the comments, put your view out there. It might get, you know what I'm saying? You might get trolled because these maggots, these Make America Great Again Trump supporters, they're out of their mind. They're dangerous. They're extreme. What more do they need to do? You know, January 6th, that was pretty goofy. That wasn't really scary because they were bumbling, fumbling idiots. But what if they're more organized next time? What if they're more organized and strategic? Like, what are they really planning, man? It's like this dude is really, we're watching a coup happen. And I think that the whole red pill movement, it comes from Russian disinformation because we don't have a problem. Race relations are not worse than they were 30 years ago. But watching television, watching the media, you might think that. I've been a professional truck driver I got my CDL over 20 years ago, driving coast to coast. And I've been doing Uber when I'm not trucking or as a side gig or sometimes as a permanent gig, right? Like right now, it's my only income. I've been doing Uber and I've done Uber in multiple states in the past couple of years, but I've been doing Uber since 2013, been driving trucks since 2002. Been to truck stops coast to coast. I know what it's like to look like this. And as a truck driver, when I'm actually out there on them road, when you're out there on your 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks at a time, your little tours as a trucker, you look rougher and rougher, you know. So I know what it's like to walk into bars and restaurants in this little town, this little state, out in these little backwoods, and it just gets eerily silent as soon as you walk in the door. And like I say, it's not as bad as it used to be. It's getting better and better as far as race relationships, equality, freedom. But I am a conservative, so here's the conservative stuff that I'm about to talk. The left wing has gone too far. They're at the point where they're like bullying people, trying to force you to think a certain way and feel a certain way. And not just that, but there's certain things that we're not going to go for as a country. You know, like I say, adding some of these letters to the LGBTQ movement, the LGBTQ, y'all need a conservative rush and stop pushing, teetering too far to the left. Leave people, children alone. That's going too far. But again, Trump is the bigger pervert than look. I'm one of them. You know, I was in a group. I'm in a group, but I was in a group early on called Hood Republicans, and we are, you know, kind of toxic compared to the average Republican. And we used to call, before Trump started calling them creep or Sleepy Joe, we used to call him Creepy Joe. You look at my Facebook profile, you'll see plenty of places where I'm sharing Creepy Joe pics and stuff like that, sniffing hair and touching kids. But at the same time, we took that joke too far. There's no evidence that he's actually an abusive person. He's weird. He might be on the spectrum. I'm a little autistic myself. And Joe Biden, you might see some of my tics in some videos. I do try to hide it as much as I can in some video. I try to control as much as possible, but sometimes, it looks like I'm chewing gum. I'm not. But Joe Biden, look, it is what it is. He is a creep to me, but Donald Trump is a predator. And now some of this stuff is starting to come out about the Epstein Island stuff. They just released some documents, and they're going to be talking about that all weekend. So stay tuned for that. And we already know that Trump and Epstein were friends. There's no question about that. You know, it's funny. Trump has always been Trump. Trump has always been like the playboy. Was that gaudy? But it's something else I'm thinking of something like that. The type of person that just, you know, I'm telling you, man, Trump could be our Caligula here in America. And even now, like think about when he talks politics and he talks debate. Does he talk politics? Does he talk policy? Or does he talk like a madman? He talks like a madman. You know, he really is akin to Howard Hughes when Howard Hughes was considered crazy at the end of his life. Howard Hughes had a brilliant career, but towards the end, talking about wooden planes and stuff. It's like Trump with his wall and some of the other absolutely lunatic stuff he says, exposing your butthole to sunlight to fight coronavirus and crazy stuff like that. Like, you know, and people just gloss over that. Again, watching that debate or seeing what I couldn't watch the whole debate. But from what I saw from it, it was exactly what I expected. Except I will say Trump wasn't as rude and vicious and brutal to Joe Biden as I thought he would be. He was a little bit respectful and he was a little bit like, man, this old man, and it's sad. Like I say, Joe Biden is too old, but Donald Trump is only, what, 3 years younger than him? And a psychopath. I feel more comfortable as Trump was a little bit more senile so that people wouldn't listen to his crazy stuff if he gives some crazy orders. You know, I'm not even going to talk about like they talk about the nuclear football and the button and all that type of stuff. Either one of these dudes being able to give that command to fire is very worrisome in a world where all these countries do have nuclear weapons and it's so hot globally on the international level. The foreign politics of this world are it's 2024. We're a quarter into this millennial, into this century. Well, we're a quarter into this century, but 25 years, almost 25 years into the 21st century, and we've had wars, but no world war. And we should be working towards that. We should be working towards peace. Vote for me. Write in Diego Don Juan, especially if you're in a state that Biden can't win. I don't even know what to say about that. I don't even know what to say about that. It's so scary. Like I say, I will be voting for Joe Biden unless I could pick up in the polls and then I could really run. Who would I ask to be my running mate? My first choice would be Ron Paul. I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know how lucid he is. I would have to talk to him first. My second choice would probably be Mike Pence. Mike Pence is the only reason that I was okay with Trump the first time around. I'm different from you people. Mike Pence was clowned by the media and hated by the media, and people was talking about, oh, yeah, I know my hairline is messed up, but there's like, oh man, Mike Pence don't want to be seen. He don't want to be alone with another woman that's not his, unless his wife is there or somebody else is present. That's appropriate, and that's how you should behave if you really are a Bible believer and you're married. The Bible teaches us to avoid evil and all appearances of evil. And where is Trump in that regard? Again, you got to give that to Biden. Yeah, it's creepy, the hair sniffing and all that type of stuff. But we're just different people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the touchy. Me and my own mother don't hug that much. Me and my children don't hug that much. That's me, and that might not be a good thing. That might be something weird about me, And I avoid children. I'm a black man. Avoid evil and appearances of evil. We have a notorious history in this country of being accused of sexual stuff that we didn't even do. Sometimes we're not even capable or available to do it. Think about the Scottsboro boys. Some of them boys was they weren't capable of a lot of that stuff that they were accused of doing. George Stinney, the youngest person ever executed, the little boy, so young and so small he had to sit on phone books to get electrocuted in an electric chair. He was accused of raping and murdering two little girls, and he was a little boy himself. He kidnapped and raped and murdered two little girls. This little bitty boy. He has been exonerated posthumously, but it's too late for that. We know for a fact that America has executed innocent men, especially with DNA evidence being what it is. There's something called the Innocence Project. According to the Innocence Project, 65% of DNA exonerations have been African American males. That means DNA proved that they didn't murder or assault somebody that they was in prison for. Sometimes capital crimes. Again, last time I checked the project, the average person released because of innocence projects had did an average of 27 years in prison for crimes they didn't commit, couldn't have committed. The Donald Trump situation with the Central Park Five, the man still hasn't apologized for that. Donald Trump campaigned to send little boys to prison for a rape they didn't commit because they were black. Because they were black. We have to say that. When would another group of boys that young be accused of such a thing? And why do those type of boys have that type of reputation? Talk about stereotypes. Stereotypes work in our disadvantage and our disfavor so many times. Why can't they work in our advantage sometimes? Stereotypically speaking, we aren't the predators like that. Even in the cases where you say a black man is some kind of sexual predator, he doesn't murder and brutalize and you know and definitely teenage boys sexually assaulting and gang raping a jogger. These little boys got sent to prison for many, many years. And because they were sent to prison, the actual killer, who was a serial offender, was out there committing more and more crimes. So yeah, again, this video is for black conservatives, black Republicans. We got to be against MAGA, man. We got to get against. We got to be against MAGA. And I'm trying to learn how to interact. Trying to learn how to interact with this here. Well, let me just search it again. But like I said, I made plenty of videos where I'm speaking well of Trump. Let me do it like this. There are plenty of videos. My computer, man. Plenty of videos where I'm talking positive. As a matter of fact, before January 6th, I probably did like it was something Trump did, and I was like, man, screw Trump, this or that, this and that, this and that. Um, but that's because he did something, and it just made me blow my top, which he constantly does. And it's not like conservatives forgive him. It's just we're too damn afraid of the left because they've gone so far, so fast, and it seems like they want to go crazier. The gay parades aren't enough. Gay marriage isn't enough. Drag queen story hour isn't enough. Um, Having your gay clubs isn't enough. You want to, you know, you want regular or straight clubs to cater to gay stuff and have gay nights and all this other stuff. Making Christian bakers make wedding cakes for gay marriages when that's something they don't want to believe in. Further and further and further making you know, everybody else needs to talk to the middle and cater to the middle, except a lot of these left wing people who've been having all these political victories. Um, Look, again, Trump, I believe Trump served his purpose, my fellow conservatives. Trump served his purpose. He stacked the Supreme Court. That Supreme Court is going to stay conservative for quite a while. Trump did a good job, probably accidentally. Roe versus Wade was overturned. That's overturned. That's a big victory for us conservatives. And I think conservatives need to focus on keeping Roe versus Wade overturned. And it needs to be overturned. Anybody who challenges me and is like, Roe is it? Look, that lady, Jane Doe, I can't think of her actual name, because she came out and she admitted that she lied. Everything in that case was a lie. That woman said she was raped by a man and impregnated. Turned out that wasn't true. Supposedly she was a lesbian. That and she had a lot of issues, but she came out and she apologized for all of that, and she said abortion was wrong. Most of her life, she said abortion was wrong. She got swept up. That corrupt lawyer Gloria Allred, it is what it is, and I am conservative, so I do see these people as evil. But Trump is too far, man. This is America, and we have to believe in America. We have to believe in the system. Yes, Joe Biden is old, but he has a vice president. And as much as you might not like Kamala Harris, she ain't all that left wing. She's to the right of me on some issues. The whole marijuana thing. I think she's gonna be cool with legalization of marijuana now that this climate is what it is. But she was a prosecutor, and we need to go ahead and give Joe Biden and that administration 8 years. And the Republican Party. Another reason you need to vote. All conservatives, listen to me. Not just black conservatives, but all conservatives, listen to me. The main reason, especially if you're a registered Republican, a vote for Joe Biden is a major message to the Republican Party. Don't do this shit no more. Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, should have never been. The Republicans should have been able to do something to kick him out of the party early in the debates. Early. Um, Mitt Romney shouldn't have been a Republican nominee. The Republican Party has gotten so far. Like, you know, I'm gonna try to play my favorite little speech from Ron Paul. Ron Paul had a great debate rant. I think this might be it. When he dressed down the Republican Party and he told them what it was to be a real conservative. I agree with this speech 100% if this is it. This
Says,
might
why would you choose those words, maybe in the comfort of a Sunday show studio? Your rival is standing right there. If it was Obamacare on Fox News Sunday, why is it not Obamacare standing here with the governor right there?
President Obama is.
I can't take this any longer. Come on, Tim. Have some guts.
Okay, so it's a joke. And see, here's the thing. I know they know exactly what video I want. You know what? I got to look for it on on something else. Is this it?
Why does Israel need our help? We need to get out of their way.
Okay, I see why that's trending.
To organize our neighbors to win.
That's not it.
To organize our neighbors. We finally get the House and the Senate and the presidency. Conservative. You know, we are on. I think I give a lot of speeches over on the Hill. I give a lot of speeches on the floor. Lo and behold, I don't get that kind of applause. Because I don't think they're on the same wavelength as you and I are on. I think there's a disconnect, and of course that's what this struggle is all about. I think in many ways the conservative movement has had a struggle defining a conservative. You know, we finally got the conservatives in charge. We have been struggling ever since Barry Goldwater and Ronald Reagan and the revolution of 1994 and the continuation of the year 2000. We finally get the House and the Senate and the presidency. And what did we do? We doubled the size of the Department of Education. I thought we were supposed to get rid of the Department of Education. So I have a few suggestions on how you can identify a conservative. First of all, they have to be devoted to and willing to stand by and defend the Constitution. And of course, there's another position they ought to take. Many have. Many in this room will take that position. But it is absolutely necessary. A good conservative will start talking about and preaching on why we have to get rid of the Federal Reserve System.
Let's go to you, Speaker Gingrich. Recently, Dr. Paul referred to you as a chicken hawk because you didn't serve. Given what you just heard Governor Perry say about understanding the military and Dr. Paul's comments, how do you respond?
Well, Dr. Paul makes a lot of comments. It's part of his style. My father served 27 years in the Army in World War.
3 or 4 or even 5 people who don't serve when they could, and they get 3 or 4 or even 5 deferments, they have no right to send our kids off to war and not be even against the wars that we have. I'm trying to stop the wars, but at least, you know, I went when they called me up. But, you know, the veterans problem is a big one. We have hundreds of thousands coming back from these wars that were undeclared, they were unnecessary, they haven't been won, they're unwinnable. We have hundreds of thousands looking for care. And we have an epidemic of suicide coming back. And so many have, I mean, if you add up all the contractors and all the wars going on in Afghanistan and in Iraq, we've lost 8,500 Americans and severe injuries over 40,000.
Another question about electability. Do you have any, sir? There's always the question as to whether or not you are in fact viable.
I didn't need a conviction to know OJ.
All right, so I found it.
Another question about electability. Do you have any, sir? There's always the question as to whether or not you are in fact viable. Your differences with the Republicans on with the rest of the Republicans on this stage.
I hated watching that live, man. They were so disrespectful to Ron Paul. And Ron Paul, in my opinion, is the best representation of conservative values on that stage right there.
Has raised questions about whether or not you can actually win the Republican nomination, sir.
Well, we've only had 2 little primaries so far, so it's pretty premature to decide which one is going to be the candidate. But, you know, when you think about it, if you measured everything I've ever said, every vote I've ever taken against the Constitution, you know, I'm a strict constitutionalist. So you suggesting the Republicans should write me off because I'm a strict constitutionalist? I'm the most conservative member here. I have voted, you know, against more spending and waste in government than anybody else. So you're suggesting that I'm not electable and the Republicans don't want me because I'm a strict fiscal conservative? Because I believe in civil liberties? Why should we not be defending civil liberties? And why should we not be talking about foreign policy that used to be the part of the Republican Party? Mr. Republican Robert Taft didn't even want us to be in NATO. And you're saying now that we have to continue to borrow money from China to finance this empire that we can't afford? Let me see if I get this right. We need to borrow $10 billion from China, and then we give it to Musharraf, who's a military dictator who overthrew an elected government, and then we go to war, we lose all these lives promoting democracy in Iraq. I mean, what's going on here? And you're saying that this isn't appealing to Republicans? Where did this come about? I think this is a Republican message. I defend the platform. It used to say we got rid of the Department of Education. It doesn't say that. Now, we as Republicans went and doubled the size of the Department of Education. So where?
Okay, so I do disagree with Ron Paul on a lot of stuff. The Department of Education don't need to go nowhere. The last thing we need is our children less educated. The Department of Education needs to be corrected. Maybe it even needs to be downsized, but it doesn't need to go anywhere. We need some kind of uniform education coast to coast. We can't just have people, you know, some 8-year-olds reading this and reading that and some other 8-year-olds fishing all day. Department of Education is here. It needs to stay here. It just needs to be corrected. And it does need to go back a little bit conservative because it's about little children. All of this post-pubescent talk, you know, we should focus on children being prepubescent and try to have these children have as innocent a childhood as possible. You know, I do believe in early childhood sex education for kindergartners, for preschoolers, but that's strictly stranger danger, good touch, bad touch type of education. You should teach children about stuff like that early on. But we definitely shouldn't be having, in my opinion, we shouldn't have drag queens reading to children. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. And you're telling them the drag queens and you're trying to explain it to them all that. No, man, let the children focus on the basic. When you're that far before, you're that much younger, you're that far away from puberty, you shouldn't be learning stuff like that. Again, you learn about good touch, bad touch, you learn about stranger danger, tell the police if somebody touches you, that type of stuff. But um it's more ridiculous having drag queens go read to toddlers than it would be to have ex-convicts read to toddlers. Some of their fathers are ex-convicts. I mean, I guess some of their fathers are drag queens too, but this isn't even something that a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 year old should be worrying about. This is something that adults barely understand. So why on earth would we be trying to have children wrap their way around it? And why would we be telling children that far from puberty that your gender is an option and it's something that you can explore now before puberty? Puberty is when you go from being a non-sexual creature to a sexually mature creature. That's how us humans work. And we do need to get some uniform, you know, Ron Paul was too much of a libertarian for me, and he was too anti-government for me. You know, Ron Paul had some crazy, crazy ideas. He did. He did. He had some extreme ideas. And as far as conservatives go, when we talk about foreign policy, you know, Ron Paul's foreign policy was almost non-existent. It was just, hey, we need to pull back, pull out. That's too extreme. Yes, America doesn't need to be the world police, but at the same time, you can't just wipe your hands of the world and say, just let them do whatever they do. It's not going to trickle down to us. That's how you get a September 11th in the first place. Those people that hate Americans, they're not going to stop hating Americans just because Americans leave. You know, so as far as the foreign policy, hey man, we should try to have as few wars as possible. We should be talking world peace, but let's not let's not disarm America. So, you know, again, I don't agree with Ron Paul on a lot of stuff, but you can't deny that he was conservative and he had conservative values. Trump is out there cursing like a sailor. Just got convicted of this complicated stuff, hiding money, washing money, laundering money to pay off a porn star that he slept with, and you know all this other stuff. And he had a fair trial. He's talking about other stuff once he becomes president. The trials he's talking about giving out, they're not going to be so fair. And he's saying that the Justice Biden and all this stuff, they did all this against him, and we're going to do the same thing. And even if he doesn't flat out say it, even though come on, man, he's flat out said it sometimes. But he tries to walk back those comments or mask the comments or like these tongue-in-cheek threats. You know, if Trump gets reelected, he pretty much has a green light to do whatever the hell he wants. He's going to go further than any other president that we've ever had. Joe Biden, you know what I'm saying? Both of these guys might not make it another 4 years just because of their age, dying from natural causes. Um, Trump does seem more energetic and more motivated, but Trump being lucid is the scary thing because what the hell is he really going to try? You know, Biden needs to win in a landslide. This needs to be a message to the Republican Party. Republicans need to stand up to the Republican Party. You know, and if you are Republican and you can't bring yourself to vote for Joe Biden, make sure you vote for who you vote for. Make sure you document this so that they don't take your vote. Those of you that's gonna throw the vote away to like Mickey Mouse or write somebody in, write me in. Really, write me in. Diego Don Juan. That is a message to the Republican Party that you need to get more conservative and stop letting whoever's popular get the Republican nomination. That's the whole point of the parties. They're supposed to protect America from some popular person coming out of nowhere claiming that they should be the head of the party. There's absolutely no reason Donald J. Trump should be the leader of the Republican Party. And who are these MAGA people? They're not conservative. They certainly don't behave conservatively. They don't talk conservatively. I get it. They're mad about this and they're mad about that, mad about a lot of things that I would be mad of. But I can't even be mad because I'm too concerned. Too concerned, man. I'm too concerned. So yeah, I plan on working on YouTube a lot more, and I will be making more. I'll try my best to make videos entertaining, but this ain't entertaining. This is a serious warning. This is a serious wake up call. And I'm willing to debate anybody on this, especially from a black conservative viewpoint. There's so many different types of black conservatives, and no black conservative speaks for black people. There's no popular black conservative. Every black conservative you can name is mostly unpopular with most black people. Most black people who know about them, they don't they don't mess with them. And then you got some black conservatives who are kind of becoming universally popular, like Jesse Lee Peterson. He's so universally popular because he's so lampoonish. He's so extreme. He's so, he's so him. But nobody's gonna vote for him. Nobody's gonna put him in the White House or anything like that. Um, but like I say, let's name all the popular black conservatives. Candace Owens. How do most black people feel about Candace Owens? Even again, like I say, I don't know if I talked about it in this video, but I'm conservative, mostly conservative. So that means most black people I deal with on a very regular basis, they're pretty conservative. Pastors, preachers, religious people, people who like talking about religious, people who dress conservatively, even amongst like the street population. You know, I got homeboys, even me, I got tattoos. I don't got no tattoos on my face. That's too far. That's too extreme. Even when I was back in my street days, even locked up in prison, anybody that was locked up in prison with me, they'll tell you I taught conservative values in there and I pushed them. I'm one of those inmates. We're not a minority in there. Guys who think conservatively, we are those ones. We ain't the red pill types that thinks it's funny and cool to be a pimp. We the type that look at that like you're a sex offender. You're in the same category as a chomo. You better not come to population. We're gonna smash you. Hopefully the video don't get deleted, but it is what it is. This is ridiculous, man. And I really, really hope that more black conservatives come out after this debate. Yes, Biden won a debate. Yes, Biden appears to be, if he's not senile, he's getting there. He's not speaking well. We definitely could say that. But as cognitively declined as Biden is, he ain't the one saying crazy stuff. He might slip up and say something silly, wacky, or goofy, but he's not talking like a criminal. He's not talking like a terrorist. He's not sending out all these veiled threats. He's not trying, for somebody who claims to want to unite America and talking about all the race talk and the division and all this, why do you speak so divisively? What do you say that unifies people? All you do is rile up your base. So either way it goes, no matter who wins, it's going to be my president. I'm not one of those, not my president type of people. That talk has been going out of control for like 12, 13, 14, 15 years. You don't get to say this ain't your president because the guy you wanted to win didn't win. If you're an American, the United States president is your president or you're a traitor. You can't go and turn into a terrorist just because you didn't get your way. You got to ride that out for 4 years. That's the way that works. Terrorism is not acceptable, ever. And this is who's leading the Republican Party. Cursing like a sailor publicly, going to these rallies cursing. Unheard of. I made videos telling people and encouraging black people to not vote for Obama. Don't vote for Obama just because he's black. This dude's a little bit too left. He's a little bit too extreme. But looking back on it, Obama is the most conservative president we've had, arguably in like 30 years. He had a lot of liberal policies. That's undeniable. But look at how he carried himself. Look at how he spoke. Look at how he treated people and treated his wife. Look at how he carried himself. Look at the scandals. Look at the things, the Tea Party. Trump says he's the most persecuted politician in history. Meanwhile, he was on a team persecuting Obama about the damn birth certificate, things that didn't really matter. If you wanted to be critical of Obama, his birth certificate was not one of them. If you wanted to be critical of Obama, his suits weren't one of them. Donald Trump is probably mad at Obama because Obama's administration probably went after him and his businesses. He probably had to pay, I'm not going to do all these problems and all that type of stuff, but I miss Obama. I'm the first dude that I know of to publicly speak out against Obama the way I did. Just showed the YouTube video, and that was my conversation since 2008. You look on my video channel, and even that old channel, the one I'm locked out of, that's the one I showed that very old video from 11 years ago. If you look at my old channels, I didn't bash Obama, but I definitely spoke my mind and said why I didn't agree with him and why I wouldn't vote for him and why I thought other people shouldn't vote for him. But again, here in 2024, that's the type of conservative I need in the White House. I want politics. They talk about make America great again. Make politics boring again. Let's get all these people out of politics that don't belong in politics. I'm sick of politics being exciting. I want them to be boring again. I want legislators talking law. I want to turn on C-SPAN and see people talking like lawyers in a trial. We don't need everybody voting. I'm different. Like I say, I'm conservative. I believe in the republic. I believe that I don't believe in the popular vote. I'm glad that we have the Electoral College. The Electoral College seems like a buffer, a little bit more protection from these foreign countries that are trying to hack into our elections, affect our elections. They gotta affect all 48, not all 48, because you don't need all 48 to win, but you know what I'm saying. For them to really pull off a cheat, they gotta cheat in multiple states. The Electoral College is very important. And again, as a conservative, you should believe in that. It's not about the popular vote. And by it not being about that, that means as an American, you have to live with being unhappy with who's currently in the White House. It ain't your guy. That's the way this country has lasted for damn near 300 years. It's what it is. It's a young country. And, we do got a lot of racial issues, and it varies from state to state and city to city. I'm in Texas. You know, you got these big cities with over 1 million people. You got a city like Houston. Houston, about 25% black, about 25% Hispanic, and about 40% Caucasian or white. A city like that, they have to be inclusive. They have to live differently. They don't have homogenous communities where everybody looks the same. They can't have kids teasing other kids for their religion or even for their level of queerness. Sexuality shouldn't be allowed in any children, but at the same time, man, there's always been feminine boys. And some of it probably is some kind of genetics. I think most people, your adult sexuality is mostly choices and cultivation. Whatever type of pervert you grow up to be, that's the type of perversion that you feed. If you watch a certain type of adult content, that's going to shape who you become. Even the most horrific stuff, when it comes to that, the more you watch it, the more you desensitize yourself to it, and you might likely you will desensitize yourself to a certain point, and then hit this ridge where you start to like and enjoy what you once thought was disgusting. More than what you are born, as far as sexually speaking, is sexual conditioning. What environment are you in? You could be straight as an arrow, but you're in some environment where there aren't any females, and that's going to affect your sexuality. You might become and asexual. Or you might become, going to prison will more than likely change your sexuality. You go in there as heterosexual male, you got to make choices. You're going to be gay or you're going to be asexual. Or you're going to start to develop your asexuality. And then in the midst of that asexuality, other things can creep in. You know, so we are we are creatures of our environment, and as men, and I think it's true for women too, but I definitely used to say this as men. Men, we are what we do. We are what we do. You become what you do. That's why it's real important to choose your career. After 20 years of being a garbage man, when people see you, they see a garbage man. After 20 years of being a politician, people see you, they see you as a politician. After 20 years of being a lawyer, people see you as a lawyer. What do you do with the vast majority of your waking hours? And what has Trump done? He's won. Hope we don't win this election. And like I say, man, my name is Diego Don Juan. I'm running for president. Write me in. Talk about I want Biden to win. I think Biden needs to win to save the union. And maybe Biden to die from old age while he's in office. And maybe Kamala will take over. Maybe we'll have a special election. Maybe look, man, it seemed like it's some kind of emergency coming. And I don't see why anybody wants Trump up there. I could see it if we really are at war. I don't want to go to war as an American. You know, it's not good for the world. The world, we're evolving right now. We are living in the space age. You have private industries going into outer space, building rocket ships. All over America, coast to coast, people are building rocket ships to go to the moon and beyond. China just went to the far side of the moon. These countries should be talking and communicating and working together to get further into the space age instead of talking about stuff that might blow us back into the Stone Age. Half of us still live in the Stone Age. We see these MAGA Neanderthals talking about guns and this and that. They want a civil war, some of them. Especially, like I say, MAGA should be reigning in MAGA. But definitely conservatives and Republicans need to put their foot down and say, hey, man, this is going too far. The Republican Party, even if the Republicans don't get another president for 5, 10 years, they need to fix the party. We need to fix politics. I see commercials for Joe Biden soliciting me for money. And the algorithm should definitely know I'm conservative. I'm not giving no money to no Democrat. But the president has to panhandle for money. I'm a homeless dude. I don't even handle yet. I haven't fallen all the way down. I still have a chance to work hard and try my best. I'm falling behind as far as my credit score and everything. And my bills might get my car that I live in repoed eventually. But at the same time, I've never panhandled. I might, who knows where I'll be a year from now. You never know. I'm one of the working homeless that lives in a vehicle. And it's a lot of us. You guys vote for me. Right in Diego Don Juan. If I get president, I will focus on the homeless problem. I will focus on poverty. I will focus on prison reform. I will focus on fixing so many things that we have, man. Conservative values. What books do I love? I love the Bible, first and foremost, but I don't plan on making America a theocracy. It is important that America stays a secular nation. It is important. It has to be, because all these churches don't agree. You can't have a religious government in America. What are you going to do? Force all the churches to adopt this or adopt that? The gay marriage thing was a real test for America, and we made it. I think we made it. I think we made it past that. But you have to have freedom of religion, and you have to have freedom from religion. So, of course, I don't want to make a theocracy. You can't. Again, who are you? There's millions of Catholics in America. There's millions of Protestants in America, millions of Baptists. Hell, there's probably millions of these smaller religions. There's probably millions of, You know, I'm sure there's millions of Mormons. I'm sure there's millions of Scientologists. I'm sure there's millions of Hebrew Israelites. These are all people with important, they're Americans. Especially talking about like Hebrew Israelites and Mormons, no matter what you think of them, those are made in America religions that were made to try to get us back. You know, secular, modern day religion has become too secular. And modern day politics has gotten too religious. And we have to blame it on the media. The only thing that we all share in common, no matter if you're black or white, Hispanic or Asian, no matter what you are politically, we all watch the same TV shows. We all watch the same football games. We all watch the same news. So that's the only thing that's causing the real mass hysteria. And another thing is, President, if I can, look, freedom of speech is going too damn far. I believe in freedom of speech, but this propaganda and these lies have gotten out of control. The government should be suing for some of this disinformation. Now, there's a slippery slope, and you do got to be careful because imagine if Trump wins again and you give the government the right to sue media companies. Who's he going to sue and what's he going to call a lie? So, again, Trump was a great wake up call. And it's going to be great for us to learn from this for history. But we need to send Trump to history, man. We need more black conservatives against Trump. And what's going to happen to Candace Owens? I disagree with Candace Owens on a lot of things. But maybe it's time for her to start running for politics after she grows up. She's a mother now, a mother of young black men. I'm sure she really regrets some of the things she said. I would love to talk to her. I can't speak for her. I don't know her. And I disagree with her so much. I definitely can't speak for her. But me, I assume, as a man that's older than Candace and watched her, you know what I'm saying? Now she has young black males that are her children. And it reminds me of an old Dane Cook joke that I want to try to repeat. But Dane Cook, he has this old joke about black baby boys. Now I'm a father and I have sons. So I really feel that joke. And I already had kids when he came out with this special. But he has this joke on one of his old specials when he was blowing up on MySpace. And the other comedians was hating him because he was blowing up on MySpace when they couldn't. Because it was, anyway, maybe that's a topic for another video. If somebody want me to make that video, put in the comments, I will. I'm finna hustle YouTube as much as possible and get my voice out there. You need a voice like mine out there. And I'm gonna tell you my opinion. My opinion. Speak for myself and I'll speak to other people and I'm gonna upload other voices. I started a lot of trends on YouTube, but I never capitalized on it. Unfortunate, man. I have been to jail a lot. I have been to prison for things that I didn't do. Not like Trump. You know, Trump will probably never pay the piper. And he might become president again. That's crazy. I'm a convicted felon too. But I committed my felony when I was 18. I learned my lesson. I will probably never rob anybody again. That's kind of a joke if you didn't catch that. I'm being sarcastic. But I'm definitely not 18. And that's how my system. Dan Cook has a joke about that. Everybody wants to be a part of a heist. Every man wants to be a part of a heist. But let's get to this joke he has about little baby black boys. He says, baby black boys are the most beautiful babies in the world. And as a father who only has sons that I know of, sarcasm, but I only have sons, so I could really relate to that joke. Baby boys are so beautiful. They are, man. So Dan Cook says baby black boys are the most beautiful babies in the world, in his opinion. In fact, they're so beautiful. Dan Cook is a white guy. He says, in fact, they're so beautiful that he wants to be the father of a black baby boy one day. Maybe he'll even adopt, and then he'll keep them until he's about 13, because that's when they start to get scary. And the crowd erupts with laughter. I watched that as a young man. I was in my middle 20s when it came out, I think. And that joke hit me like a ton of bricks. I like Dan Cook. I was laughing at the special and everything, but after hearing that joke, it stopped me in my tracks. One thing that made me stop is Dan Cook had a very female heavy audience. That's what he built up on MySpace. You know what I'm saying? He built up a hell of a female audience. And that's unusual for a comedy show. And that's another thing that made Dane Cook so damn cool. He was kind of like a rock star comedian at the time. That's how people saw him. And that's the way he was playing it. And he damn near did his concerts like a comedy. He damn near did his comedy shows like rock concerts. And this was in an arena, sold out arena. And like I say, mostly young women, which again, that's a comedian's dream. You got all these women screaming for you. But anyway, that joke woke me up. I was already out of prison. I had already been in and out of prison, had already read countless books, had already studied all these subjects, psychology and religion, theology, reading the entire Bible, yada yada yada, reading the psychology. I got a hold of a college textbook, Psychology 101. I read the Bible cover to cover, I read that psychology book cover to cover. Both of those books took me months to read. Locked up, so I had plenty of time to read. But those reading like that really raised my literacy level, which really made me more employable here in the free world. So if you have anybody that's locked up, I encourage you to send them books. You have a literal captive audience. To the mothers out there with sons that you could never talk to when they was in the free world, send them books. My mama used to send me TD Jakes books. That's one reason that you know. Anyway, maybe I'll talk about TD Jakes in another video. Somebody want me to do that, put in the comments. But I gotta focus on this video and wrap this up. I've been recording a long time already. Um, anyway, that joke, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was one of those things. Sometimes in life, something happens where it's like you have an epiphany. You have epiphany moments, especially if you live a certain type of life. If you're the type of person that chases knowledge and you love to study beyond school and you love to read, if you're that type of person, you'll probably have many times in your life where you feel like you have an epiphany. You'll hear one thing or you'll read one thing, and that one thought enters your brain, and you'll never think the same as the day before. You woke up and you'll never think the same. And that's what it was like for me hearing that joke. Keep them till they're 13 because that's when they start to get scary. That made me think about so many things. What is life like for my mother? I turned out to be quite tall. I'm about 6 foot tall. I'm a really slim guy, but I'm about 6 foot tall. My mom is about 5 foot tall. Most women I date are about that height. It gave me so much empathy. How does my mother see me? What about that tough phase when you turn a teenager, and your mom, who used to beat the hell out you, now she's a little scared of you. Even if she hits you and she knows for a fact that you won't hit her back, it's still a little scary because when she hits you, you don't wince, you don't cry, you don't have the same reactions, and she knows it. She didn't beat the hell out you. Now what you gonna do? You beat the hell out of me when I was a fraction of your size, and now you're a fraction of my size. What are you going to do? Are you going to pick up a weapon and actually really hurt me? And then I'll be free from you? Free at last. Parents and children often want freedom from each other. And you don't miss what you have until it's gone, oftentimes. And that's what it's like a lot of times with parents and siblings, especially if you have problematic relationships. But what about that when you have a little baby black boy and he goes from being a little bitty cute baby that everybody in society, most people see and they're like, oh, and now most people see and they're like, oh, oh. You startle people all the time. You scare people. As a black man, you scare people. Most people scared of you. And one great thing about that joke, I don't think Dane Cook is particularly racist or maliciously racist. I think as Americans, most of us have a lot of racism in us. And you don't know how racist you are if you never really address racism. A lot of people talk about how not racist they are, and they've never lived around another race. They've never been tested. You've never had that scenario where you're a fireman, and there's a burning building, and you're in there saving children, and you got to make these ethical choices. Am I saving children based on how much they look like me? Am I saving children based on my parental instincts? This kid looks like my kid. You know, there's hard choices in life, and racism affects those. And sometimes racism will drive you crazy. People talk about Trump derangement syndrome. You could say there's such thing as Barack Obama derangement syndrome, or any politician derangement syndrome, or any other syndrome. If you're a devout Christian, you might be scared of Muslims. If you're a Jew, you might be scared of Muslims or anti-Semites or Nazis. As a black male who's descendant of slave, even though I'm conservative as they come, I don't feel comfortable around Confederate flags. And as a white person, you will never know how a black person feels looking at a Confederate flag or entering a space where a bunch of people are rocking Confederate flags. What are you really trying to say with this? Or anything like that. You know, a white person walk into a room and everybody has on the Malcolm X shirt. I remember when the movie Malcolm X starring Denzel Washington, the Spike Lee movie Malcolm X came out. They had dog whistle shirts, and it said, "You have your X, and I have mine." And people were making comparisons, and that was the Confederate flag. They said, "You have your X, I have mine," because people were rocking shirts, white shirts with a big X on it to represent Malcolm X. It was part of the merchandising and campaigning for the movie. And like I say, you had very similar to the All Lives Matter movement, which was just to contradict. It was just being contrary to the or Black Lives Matter. All that stuff is goofy and silly, really. The real problem with America is all lives matter, but it's selective. My people lives matter to me. My clique matters to me. My side matters to me. And we have this weird thing that we got to be careful that we don't slip into like the Hunger Games or like the Roman Colosseum. You know, it's one thing to execute criminals who've committed heinous crimes, people who serially abuse children, people who serial killers, things like this. It's one thing to execute them, but it's another thing to execute them in the Colosseum while everybody cheers, building this bloodlust in a society. We have to be careful about that. America is at this point where we've otherized everybody else. We have too much of a, again, make politics boring again. Too many of these sports fans are paying attention to the politics and they're rooting for it like they're rooting for their favorite team. It's all America at the end of the day. We really should get at the point. My entire life, it seems like both parties have brought it down to every single election. They're talking about pick the lesser of two evils. Pick the lesser of two evils. Both of these parties need a wake up call. Both parties, both Democrats and Republicans. This is absolute nonsense. It really should. I really hope a third party wins. That's what I really hope. To show them both. This is crazy. We're gonna pick the worst of two evils. And now this is the biggest glaring example of that. Both of these dudes are too old. Both of these dudes are too archetypical. It's like you could predict whatever nothing surprised. I mean, they surprise you, but at the same time, you're not surprised. We need people who care about America, man. Kennedy, Roosevelt, Reagan, Lincoln. I shouldn't have said Reagan because I don't, Reagan was very problematic. Reagan was very problematic, especially in hindsight. But yeah, I quit smoking. Yeah, I'm vaping. Some Mike Tyson vape. I love these things. I'm gonna do a review for these probably one day. Real talk. This helped me quit smoking cigarettes. And I'm black. I smoke Newports for the most part. My last few years of smoking, I was very less selective because man, Newports, that price was ridiculous. Over $20 a pack in some cities. Over $20 a pack in some cities for 20 cigarettes. Are you out your damn mind? Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. How much is a pack of Newports in Chicago?
Okay.
$19.99 if you buy them online. $19.99 if you buy them online. And that's a deal. Hey Siri, how much is a pack of cigarettes, Newports, in California, Los Angeles?
Here's what I found.
This ain't even a website. This some underground stuff. Oh, Newports have been outlawed in California. Hey Siri, are Newports illegal in California?
I found this on the web.
Yep, according to this, yeah. So anyway, damn California. Meth, fake weed, and what's that other one? Fentanyl are out of control in California. You outlawed Newports. Damn. We need to do something about the drugs too. We need to change our criminal system. Again, I say I'm running for president. Here's some of my platform. I will immediately, as soon as possible, change the priorities of the justice system to stop prioritizing drugs, drug dealers, drug possession, and fill these jails up with sex offenders, traffickers, and like real live drug dealers. Stop throwing teenagers in jail for selling drugs and all this type of stuff. If they're doing something else, if they're committing other crimes, get them. But we really need to stop focusing on the drug war. Is ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Self-destruction. Self-destruction. But let me finish this. That's almost the whole clip from Ron Paul.
Where have we gone? I think we've lost our way. And then the insinuation that I am less Republican because of that?
Congressman, thank you very much. We have to take one more break. We'll be right back with one of the most contentious issues of the day. Stay tuned.
I don't know if that's the speech I was looking for because he was talking so much about the foreign policy there. And like I say, I don't agree with Ron Paul's foreign policy, man. I don't believe with the isolationist thing. I get it, but that's not realistic and that's not good for the country. Yeah, we want to get military spending down, but the best way to get military spending down is one, to change our focus, and we really need to change our focus on this today, immediately. Defense. We call it Department of Defense, but it's really the Department of Offense. That money, that military money, should be spent with the idea that we might get attacked nuclearly. There might be a nuclear war one day. And we need to focus on what are we going to do if American society has to live underground for a century? Like, that's what I think it needs to do. How are we going to deter, the Iron Dome thing over Israel, stuff like that. Securing our airspace, cybersecurity, and just getting the war machine ready. You know what I'm saying? Having it to where we could kick up production any second. And we're already, America's so strong. Right now, I believe, hey Siri, what country produces the most petroleum?
The United States is the largest oil-producing country in the world, accounting for 18.9% of global crude oil production. This is from Statista.com.
So we're in a position right now because of the oil situation. We're producing so much more oil than any other country that, we can focus on having, Trump was talking about building a wall. Before you build a wall, let's make sure we got everything over here that we need, and we don't. We really don't. Let's make sure we have the alliances that we need. America and the entire world needs to be focusing on Africa. America is the breadbasket of America. Some people say Ukraine, and now look what's going on with Ukraine. That's a large part of inflation too. A lot of people talk about inflation and all. There's so many things contributed to inflation. The war in Ukraine, Ukraine was the breadbasket for a large part of the world. That's a huge part of inflation. Russia just going to war and not being able to focus on oil production and oil prices the way they were. That's a big part of inflation. So many things in the world affecting our prices here in America. And yeah, man. So, yeah, man. 2020, man. What are we going to do? If you're black and you're conservative, for the love of God, don't vote for Trump. Don't. We don't even know who this dude is picking as a vice president. This is really crazy what Trump is getting away with. Trump has always gotten away with more than the average citizen. But now, like I say, he's he's the head of the Republican Party. We don't even know who his running mate is going to be. People talk about how far ahead of him in the polls he is. At Trump's age, his vice president is just as likely to replace him as the Democrat side. And once he wins, you know, Trump is that type of person. He's competitive. Once he actually wins, how much motivation is he going to have? And how crazy are they going to let him go? Christians, again, how is January 6th not too far, man? Especially the religious, the conservative, the Christian conservatives. They was talking about not talking about it. It really appears that a mob was attempting to hang Mike Pence. What if they would have found Mike Pence, man? People people downplaying all this stuff with Trump. January 6th was just it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, overstating it. These criminal trials, they're made up. Dude, could you imagine any politician being accused of what Trump just went to trial for and got accused of? We talk about um, Bill Clinton and his affair with with Monica Lewinsky. The she worked in the office, a fraternal. They were fraternizing, co-workers, and hooking up, and you could say he was abusing his position of power. Trump, everything about it was illegal. Prostitution, that ain't cool. How is that okay with conservatives? And how are so many conservatives minimizing the president soliciting a porn star? And that's something too, like prostitution is already bad enough. But you want to sleep with a porn star? Like, what mind even thinks that? What mind even like I want to sleep with a porn star? I've seen this woman sleep with so many men. I want to sleep with her now. Like, I can't even understand. I can't comprehend it. Again, like I say, prostitution is bad enough. Could you imagine a president getting caught soliciting a prostitute, a regular prostitute, a grown woman who's prostituting herself? Or you add some extra layers to it. He's going through a pimp, a trafficker. Or like I say in Trump's case, he goes for a porn star, gets his lawyer to cover it, gets his lawyer and all these other people to cover up for it, some of whom have gone to jail for that, cooking the books. Oh, he just cooked the books. The man that you guys are talking about is going to drain the swamp has been caught in so much corruption. Even before he was in politics, how many scandals has Donald Trump been caught up in? So Tupac hated him. He didn't free Larry Hoover. And what did he do? All the crap he talked about Obama. What did he do to improve schools? What did he do to push back against the liberal onslaught or deluge or whatever you want to call this? What did he do? What did he do to end gang violence? What did he do to end gun violence? What did he do? All the criticism he gave, he wasn't better than Obama. He wasn't. Obama did go way too far. Again, as a conservative, I get it. Obama, he bowed down to the left way too much. They yelled at him, went further left. And with Obama, you really don't know. Was he always as much of a lefty? Anyway, I talked long enough, man. Either you feel me or you don't.